lose the weight. We're gonna all feel great. You and me and Dr. D, we're gonna up and down. We're gonna lose that pound. Sinners get less, win, win, win.
You'll never ever gain the weight from this. That's one thing, okay? And secondly, I coerced you because no, not really. I got involved in this program and developed it simply by accident. I had a patient who came to me and was treated for back problems, pain, and we tried over 6 months various kinds of weight loss programs. He did not do well. He went to another physician. I don't want to tell you that, but he did, and he lost 12 pounds in 2 weeks. And I saw him at the end of the month, he lost 30 pounds. And I figured, well, you know, what's he doing? He said he went to a doctor locally, and he was on a program, and he lost that much weight in a month. I got somewhat quizzical about if it really was true, and I called the doctor's office, and he was doing this program. I found out what it was, went on the internet, went online, did a whole bunch of research, decided that I thought it was scientifically sound, that it could work, and I was going to try it myself. So what I did was actually step back a little further. Last November, around the 1st of November, I came back from a hunting trip, and between November and the end of January, I'd lost 20-some pounds, not because I wanted to, because I didn't feel well. I flew a couple times, I developed a bad effect from being on antibiotics, and then about the end of January, I decided to get on a scale and look, and lo and behold, I lost 20-some pounds, but yet my belt was still, my waist was still 42 inches, my chest was still 52. I said, where the hell did the 27 pounds come from? Or where it go to, actually. And then I realized I'd lost muscle. Maybe some fat, but I'd lost a large amount of that weight loss was muscular. Now going forward, when I talked to the gentleman, and I mentioned to him that he'd lost his 30 pounds, I realized that we lost 30 pounds in a month, but he didn't look like he lost 30 pounds. And I figured, well, what was the difference between him losing all that weight and me losing that 25 pounds and looking like somebody cat dragged me enough to the outside? So I did the research, found out what it was. After that, I realized that if I were to implement this program, then I should do it right now. So I first guinea pig was myself. I selected a group, 5 people, to go on the program, and I selected them for a purpose. Each one had a reason to lose the weight. I had a reason to want them to lose the weight. One person, there were 3 of them were from family, and the other 2 were patients of mine. One, my daughter, both of them, 2 daughters. One had a weight problem, very short, carried her weight around, and was a terrible, terrible individual in the fact that she could never follow anything through the course. I figured if I put her on the diet, she would screw up and not be able to stay on it. The other one had lost weight, gained weight, lost weight. My other daughter, I knew she'd stick to it, and she really wanted to lose the weight, so she was an excellent candidate. Her husband, who had gained 25 pounds since they'd gotten married 2 years ago, he wanted to lose it, and I figured this is a perfect candidate. He didn't have to lose it, but he had gained weight, the fatty weight, the stomach, around the butt, the arms, a little bit in the face. So I wanted to see if he could lose that weight. Another patient of mine, big guy, had gained a lot of weight. He'd been my patient of mine for years. He'd lost a ton of weight on the Atkins diet, gained it right back. So I figured he's an excellent candidate to do the program. And his wife, she felt like she wanted to tag along, so we included her. She had gained a lot of weight since they got married and was uncomfortable with it, and she would stick to it. And together, the 2 of them, because they were together, would keep eyes on each other. offhand, my daughter, the short one, lost 18 pounds in about 40 days. My other daughter lost 27 pounds in about 60 days. Her husband lost 27 pounds in under 28 days. The big fella, he was 300 plus pounds, he lost 60 pounds in 60 days. And his wife lost 30 pounds in the same period of time. And I had lost 25 pounds in under 30 days. So I knew it worked. Okay, then to get into the rationale, well, if you're going to sell somebody something, and you're going to guarantee that they're going to lose the weight, that's only a third of the problem. The second part is, am I going to guarantee them somewhat that if they continued on the program, they're going to maintain their weight loss? All right? And everybody that had done so and lost the weight entered into the second phase of the diet. None of them gained the weight. They managed to muddle through what was asked of them during that 6 weeks to 8 weeks, and they've all done well. One thing about the program is that if you decide to go with the diet and you go through both phases, phase 2 and phase 3, you have the option that you decide to lose more weight, you can go back and start over again without any fear that because you did it once, you couldn't do it again. You can lose the same weight, the same thing, because of the way that the weight loss occurs, and I'll get into that a little bit more. Now, going into what they call the final phase, or the living your life phase, you can eat anything you want, providing you don't gain any weight over 2 pounds. That's the only stipulation. You can eat anything you want. Now, hopefully we've taught you, we've taken the weight off you, we've taught you to manage your own weight during that 2 months, and you can make the proper decisions. But if you don't make the right decisions, you immediately have a way to correct the failure. Okay? Now let me get into the actual crux of the program. Okay? It's called fat weight loss, but I wanted fast weight loss. I wanted actually I wanted to put fast fat loss, but they wouldn't let me do it because they didn't want anybody to think that we were just dealing with fat people, which we are. But we wanted to be discreet, okay? And not hurt anybody's feelings. The program was developed back in the 1950s, and it was a gift. Back between 50s and early 60s and all through the 60s and early 70s, this was the most used diet program in the country. It had the greatest success, and because of some quirk, the FDA came out and said, this medication that we're going to give you and you're going to take to lose this weight, you didn't do the proper testing, so therefore you can't say it's a weight loss program, and they made it difficult for physicians to use it for weight loss. So it went out of use in the United States. It is used worldwide. Dr. Simeon, who developed the program, was a physician. He was an epidemiologist. He developed the program when he was in India, treating. He did some work on malaria. He did it on Froelich syndrome, which is a condition that used this particular hormone, human chorionic gonadotropin, on males who had been grossly obese and had atrophied sex organs. And they used this hormone to have them mature their sexual organs, and as a consequence they lost a lot of weight. He, being a scientist as well as a practitioner, took it one step forward when he got back to his native country, Italy, and started a weight loss clinic. He was the first one to tell you that he got so involved with the weight loss that he never ever developed a protocol to figure out scientifically how this particular hormone worked. Hormone is is secreted by the placenta of pregnant women, okay, in very high doses. And he surmised that the reason the hormone was there was to protect the fetus, the baby, from ever being malnourished during the pregnancy. No matter what happened to the woman, this hormone was there, that it would go back and take from her fat and feed that baby under no circumstances. It was God's and nature's way of saying that we're going to protect this fetus and it's not going to starve. So he took that one step further, okay? And he refined the protocol where he took a very small dose, like 125 international units, where the woman would produce 100 million units. During the pregnancy, he took this very small amount, gave it to his patients with a very restricted diet, and this is all through trial and error, okay? And he developed a protocol where he had these people losing nothing but fat. Now, the way this is done is the hormone works at one of the subcortical areas of your brain that manages the way you handle breathing, weight gain, stress. It's called the hypothalamus, all right? And that regulates this hormone. Now, two good things about it is that women only produce it, so men don't produce it, so therefore there's no sensitivity to them. Men can take the hormone and have no adverse effects because it's not part of their body. Women produce some of this hormone all the time, okay? Their weight loss is a result of collaboration between the hormone and the diet is not as intense as that as men. Men may lose up to a pound and a half a day. Women, 3/4 to a pound a day. That's the average, all right? You will lose that weight. If you follow this diet, you will lose that weight, follow that protocol, okay? They questioned him after a while and asked him, well, why didn't you do the science on this? He said, I did do the science. I treated 20,000 patients and everyone did well. But that wasn't good enough for the FDA, so it sort of fell out of vogue at the time. Since that time, because the hormone is given intramuscular and or subcutaneously in the fat, it's a very small dose. Physicians were the only ones who were allowed to use it. But society, science has developed various other methods to take this hormone. They've done it sublingually, they've done sprays, they've done nose swabs, they've done anything to administer this particular hormone to women. The only side effect and the only reason I don't use it is because it's not a fail-safe program. There's no continuity. If I buy this hormone as a medical substance, it is monitored by the FDA, its concentration is, and potency is guaranteed by the manufacturer. If ever I have any rebuttal to go back to them, I've got somebody to go back to. When you get the powder or the nose drops or the spray from manufacturer to manufacturer, you don't even know if you're getting true HCG. You don't know the concentration of it. You don't know if one batch is the same as the next batch. So therefore, your continuity of care administrating the program isn't monitored, and it isn't the same. So that's why I don't use it. I can have a source. If I got somebody who could not take the shots, then I might recommend it, although I'm not crazy about it. But that's the background of how this thing was worked. Okay, now to get into the nuts and bolts of the presentation. All right. Let me get my papers here and see what the hell I blabbered on with. All right. We're addressing, and I talked about weight loss, but actually the first part of this diet is not weight loss, it's fat loss. this particular hormone, when taken with a restricted diet, utilizes your stored fat in your body. Everybody has to understand that not all fat is the same. You have 3 different types of fat in your body. 2 of which are essential. They're all essential. I'm not going to say that they aren't. Okay. The first one is the fat that cushions the organisms in your body underneath your skin, the bottoms of your feet, in your intestines, to cushion them from trauma. The second part of that fat is enough fat that during the normal course of the day, if your body needs a quick source of energy, you can metabolize that fat for that energy. The third fat is what they call the reserve fat. And that's what the body uses to store in case you're ever under distress. If you're a prisoner of war, if you're in a concentration camp, if you're in a starvation situation, your body will use that to sustain your life. That's your huggy bears. That's your, your hangy downs. That's your man boobs. That's what it is, okay? And it stays there. And no matter what happens, your body has enough sense to say, I'm not going to use this until everything else is exhausted. And it does that. However, this hormone, in conjunction with a very low calorie diet, makes your body think that the only source of energy it has is this reserve fat. Okay? So when you start on this diet, it's so restrictive that it just gives you enough calories to burn that day to keep your motor running. Everybody has what they call basal metabolic rate. That's the amount of energy your body needs to lay there and run the machine for 24 hours. Usually for women it's between 1,900 and 2,100 calories. Men it's about 2,100 to 2,500. Okay? What this body does, what this, not body, but what the hormone does, is you have this 500 calories that you're going to use to keep the motor running ever so slightly. The difference between that 500 calories and the 1,900 or 2,500 is what your body's going to burn up in fat. That's where the fat is used for. That's where the energy's gone. That's why you could take this thing and get on a scale in the morning and lose 1.5 pounds. You get on the next morning and lose 0.5 pound. And get on 2 days after that and lose another 0.5 pound. Because you're burning up that fat to run every day. And that's just your basic metabolic rate. If you add the activity to that, you increase the caloric output, okay, you're going to burn up more fat. So that's the secret to that weight loss, is you're burning up this reserve fat. It's also a secret on why during the diet, you're restricted to so many calories per day, and of which most is protein, because you want to protect the muscle in the body, and a little bit of carbohydrate, just for the hell of it, and then no fat in that 500 calories. You should not consume any fat. Let me just, well, that's because fat makes you fat. And that's not why you restrict your fat intake. It's because any fat that you take in, your body's going to utilize right now. And you don't want to do that. You want to burn up this reserve fat. So it's not that 500 calories is short on the fat because fat is what makes you fat. It's because your body doesn't want to utilize extra fat that you're taking in orally. You want to burn up the fat. Everybody gets this opinion, well, the reason they don't want me to take the fat is because I'll get fat. No. Fat in and of itself is not going to make you fat. All right. Let's go on yet. Oh, I should mention this. HCG, the hormone, is safe for weight loss. Okay, and I've explained to you why. It's a natural substance, side effects are minimal, Women have it all the time. Men don't have it, so they can't develop a sensitivity to it. All right, so it's a unique substance that we utilize to the max. The weight loss varies from person to person simply because everybody handles food differently. And you'll find that out when you get into the diet and you talk to somebody and they say, oh hell, I cheated a little bit and I ate some oranges and that never a problem. When I was on the diet, I remember a week into the diet, I ate an orange and I gained 2 pounds. One day, one orange. Didn't think anything of it, went back, reviewed the diet, you shouldn't eat oranges. So I said, okay, I'm not going to eat orange again. So about toward the end of that 3rd or 4th week, I ate another one. And the next day I got up and gained 2 pounds. So, but anybody else could eat an orange and not bother. Everybody's metabolism is such that they handle food differently. And you have to keep that in your mind because you're going to be watching your diet all the time. And not because you have to, it's because you want to. You want to because you're going to be successful in losing the weight and you don't want to gain it back. It's not impossible to stay on this diet because you can eat anything you want. But you have to be selective on what you eat so you don't gain the weight back. You can lose up from, again, men can lose up to 2 pounds a day, women up to pound, pound and a half, but there are exceptions. I've had patients come in that, we had a guy come in and lost 20 pounds in a little over 2 weeks. Another fella came in and lost 25 pounds in under 2 weeks. All right? But they're big people. Big. Do you have to exercise? No. Don't exercise. Okay, why? Well, because you do not want to raise the caloric intake over and above what your 500 calories is causing the safety net. If you start burning a lot more calories and your body can't provide them and metabolize them fast enough from reserve fat, it's going to start searching around for other sources of energy. And the first place it's going to go is to muscle. And you don't want to do that. When we talk about the specific diet that you're on, the 500 calorie diet, it's almost 100% protein. That's to protect the body from metabolizing the fat instead of metabolizing muscle instead of fat. Small amount of starch that you take in during the diet, that's a variable. Some people don't even take the starch during their 500 calorie diet. Again, Dr. Simeon, who did these 20,000 or so patients, said that the weight loss is permanent. And he means it's permanent. If you follow this protocol, and I'll guarantee you, if you follow the diet through its course, you will not gain this weight back. And there's a couple of reasons why, and then if you get interested and you want to sit down, I'll explain to you why you don't do that. It's not just the fact that you're limiting the calories and all that stuff. It's in the process of you losing this weight, we're going to teach your body how to accept that weight loss as the weight loss that it should be. That's the way your body should live, that's the amount of weight you should carry, and that's the amount of fat you should have. We more or less trick the body into thinking that old weight you had isn't any good, you don't want to go back to it. You want to stay at this new weight that you maintain. And your diet and the nutrition that you take in during that phase of the diet is designed to reinforce that particular way. That's why it's an educational process. It's a very short time, it's 6 weeks. But yet, during that 6 weeks, your whole dynamic, your whole understanding of food, your whole nutrition is changed so that in your body think that that's where you want to be. If you're content at that weight, you stay on the program. If you want to lose more weight and you want to lose it rapidly, you go through what we call another round. If you want to lose weight and maintain the diet, it's just a matter of manipulating the calories that you consume during the day so that you will lose slowly at a regular rate. So all facets are covered, and it's only predicated on you following the diet. The diet is so simple that anybody who does this program, you can go on the internet and be exposed to a dozen sources, okay? They'll all tell you, I don't care if they're chiropractors or nutritionists or diet managers, physicians like myself, they're going to tell you. If you have a question about what to do during the diet and you want to understand what it's about, you can look up Dr. Simeon's protocol, what he did, how he designed the diet, and go back to that. Anybody that tells you differently is not giving and following you his guidelines. People want to always, well, it was 50 years ago and he didn't know what the hell, he didn't have frozen food back then, nothing was dehydrated. I know I'm going to be able to eat this because I know it's the same as the other foods he was on. And they'll tell you, and the guys that have been doing this. If you think that he hasn't done his homework and hasn't come across the problem that you're trying to fix in the 20 or so thousand patients he's treated, you're wrong. If you want to go back, stay on the diet that he recommended, you will lose the weight. As a matter of fact, when I was doing the research, his thing was, he would say that you should weigh yourself at the beginning and the end, as long as you follow the diet, because you're going to lose weight. But as time went on, he found out human nature, he makes you weigh every day so that you're aware that if there's shortcomings and you gain weight and lose weight, that you're aware that you can correct the weight gain by just some modification of your diet. So it's a self-educational thing. But you will lose pounds and you will lose inches. Not necessarily equally, not necessarily at the same way. I lost 25 pounds, I haven't gained it since, but since I went off the shots, I've lost 6 inches over my body. And I haven't done nothing more. And everybody says, oh my God, why are you losing all this weight? I haven't lost an ounce since I quit the shot. But I've lost 6 inches.
It's like redistributing.
So and there's a reason why, and I can explain to you why that happened. Okay? There are 4 phases in the diet. All right? First phase is actually phase 1 and 2. When you're on the diet, we do you come in and we do some lab work on you, do a history, find out how your metabolism runs. Okay? And the recommendation, and this goes back to the original work by Dr. Simeon, is you stuff yourself for 2 days with any fattening thing you want. The more you eat, the better off you are. Now, the philosophy is, well, why the hell would you gain weight if you're going to try to lose weight? And it was Dr. Simeon's idea that you want to make sure that you have enough of this, not the reserve fat, the fat your body needs to run, and the carbohydrates you need to run the motor, all right, as you start on the HCG, the hormones, the shots. If either one of those is down, the body's going to store fat or do something to replace that thing before you start to lose weight. So actually, by not, by going on a fad diet or not following the gorging, you actually do yourself a disservice. You'll gain maybe 2 pounds, maybe 3, 4. You'll lose it in the first week plus. That's not a problem. No one ever does not lose, providing you start the diet. But during that time, you will take shots those 2 days. The 3rd day starts, from that point forward until you're done, either 28 days or 50 days on the cycle, you will stay on that 500 calorie diet. That's the secret to the whole thing. It's a very restricted diet. You get 2 servings of protein a day, You get 3 different fruits and veggies. It's a good selection. However, you're only allowed 1 vegetable, the same vegetable, at a particular serving. So if you want salad, you could eat lettuce, and you could eat lettuce, and you could eat lettuce. Now you could have another meal where you could have cauliflower and cauliflower and cauliflower, but it has to be only 1 veg at each meal. Your fruits are a very large selection. You can have a grapefruit a half. You could have strawberries, and you could have an apple. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
No cherries? No
No cherries. No water. And here's where people say, oh, well, if I could have a cherry, that's okay, I'll eat cherries. Believe me, Dr. Simeon had people try cherries. It doesn't work. So you can try these things and you will make a mistake. Okay? The mistakes are forgiven. Cheating is not forgiven. I won't have you come into this program if you think that you're going to cheat and participate in the diet. It's not going to work. Now I have people who go, I eat all the time. I couldn't think I could do that. I love food. You get on the 500 calorie diet, you stay on it for 2 or 3 days, you won't miss the quick sandwiches, and you won't miss, sitting down and having fries and your hamburger and all that. You won't be hungry. It's ironic, and it's the strangest thing, but people that go on the diet do not understand. They'll come to me, I'll say, well, after the first week, how'd you do? Were you hungry? Well, maybe the first couple days. When they tell me that, I know they didn't gorge you. Okay? They thought that wasn't the thing to do. Because that's one of the first signs that you get. If you don't fill up the fat and the carbohydrates, you're going to have hunger pains because your body's looking to fill those up during the first 2 days. After that, no problem. You're not hungry. All right? You don't have to go out and exercise because you're not going to burn up the fat. You're only going to make it worse because your body's going to look for calories that you burned up that it can't get from the fat quickly enough. So you can walk, the dog, you can maybe do some light weightlifting, you could dance, you could swim, you can do low aerobic, low intensity things, but you can't go out and do spinning, you can't go out and do cross country running, you can't do any of that stuff. And you shouldn't do any of that. Right?
I'll jump right on that.
Once you've gone through the diet phase and the shot phase, then comes the most important part of the diet. And that's the transition from you using your own fat as a source of energy to developing the nutrition that's capable of maintaining your weight. The food that's you're going to require to take the place of this fat. Now that transition time, I sort of deviate a little bit from Dr. Simeon's because he didn't go into great detail about that transition time. Some physicians have done, and they've come up with different approaches to that. Our approach is, instead of that, it's called phase 3. Instead of us just saying, oh, go out and eat what you can, and you're not allowed any sugar, you're not allowed any carbohydrates during that time, and it's okay, don't worry about it. Keep that in mind, and you can get through it. You break it up into 2 phases, 2 sets, 3A and 3B. One is you maintain the diet you were on without any sugar or starch during that phase, but you can increase the calories. So you're allowed, not unlimited, but you're allowed fruit, and veggies, and beets, and everything else that you wanted for 3 weeks, okay, providing there are no carbs. After that third week, we gradually add carbs back into your diet and even some sugar. But during that time, you're going to be watching what the weight gain, and you'll know what to eat and what not to eat by your own trial and error. There are handouts and stuff we'll give you that you can make the proper choices, all right? But there are choices, okay, that you can make. And there's no cheating in that part because you're almost allowed to eat anything you want. But you will, if you overeat carbs, you will not lose the weight. And then there's a rectification that you do as a thing that you do lose the weight that you've gained right away. Once you're done with that, again, then you go into the maintenance thing. During that time, I've been doing this alternative medicine and nutrition counseling for a lot of years. I've been on every goofy diet there was. I mean, I've tried them all. Cabbage. I've had people give me, I've tried spinning. I've eaten more carbohydrates and no fat. I've eaten more fat than no carbohydrates. I run miles, bounced around like a jerk. Okay.
The worst
sweat.
was your beet greens.
Beet green. I had a friend of mine who she's a fortune teller, and she's a gypsy, and she was really, really knowledgeable in herbs and stuff. So I used to go over and once a month or so, and we'd sit and chit chat and stuff. And she always used to say, "You're fat, you're fat, you're fat." So I said, "Oh, well, what do you mean I'm fat? What kind of diet?" She said, "I got the perfect diet for you, doc. It's a beet diet." I said, "Well, all right, I can try it." But you didn't eat just the beets, you ate the greens, and you just shredded them and you ate them. You couldn't cook them, you couldn't eat. I lasted 2 days. And I went back the next month and said, "Zaga," and she said, "Don't tell me." I know.
She's a fortune teller.
She's a fortune.
Of course she knew.
So I tried them all, okay? And I know from my experience that physiologically, mentally, nutritionally, this diet works for 2 reasons. One, because you lose the fat. And 2 is that transition time. With my experience in nutrition, I can tell you how to eat so that you not only do not gain the weight back, protect yourself from diabetes, you protect yourself from hypertension, you protect yourself from heart disease by the natural nutritional components that are necessary to maintaining good health. So this is not just a fat weight loss thing. This is an opportunity for you to change your whole philosophy on health. And you can do it. Believe me, you can do it. You know, I mean, I consider myself in 20 years, I watched, my wife is a tremendous cook. We come home and everything's made from scratch. You know, I knew what to avoid and not, and what not to eat and what to eat. My philosophy was different than most. Was I used to eat nutritionally during the week and save up for the weekends so that I could screw up. So ultimately, I still gained weight. But if you can incorporate this thing and manage the screw-ups by losing the weight as you gain it, you're way ahead of the game. All right? I have enough knowledge in vitamins and minerals. I've done every kind of goofy practice as far as staying healthy that there are. I've done, you know, a lot of what they call hocus pocus medicine, so I can address problems that you will have that most physicians ain't even heard of. The goal is to make you healthy. It's not to make you skinny. Okay? Making skinny, you've done that innumerable times. Unfortunately, you got de-skinnied after no one delivered the food to your house, or you ran out of, you know, or you got tired of spitting for 14 hours and went to the bar and had a couple of cookies and a hamburger and fries.
Ice cream.
You know. Oh yeah, you know. So you know, I've been there and I've done it, and I can at least caution you on how to stay as healthy as you possibly can. All right. If you're a diabetic and you get on this, you will lose weight. And if you follow the diet afterwards, you will not be a diabetic. You will not. You'll eat so well that unless you have a genetic predisposition to diabetes, you will not be a diabetic. You'll eat the proper nutrition in the right form, and you will not. You will just sort of let your body utilize the insulin that you have, and you will not be a diabetic.
And wouldn't that be nice to not have to take those medications anymore? Not to mention pay for those
Same thing with
medications anymore?
hypertensive. Dr. Simeon during his treatment said hypertensive were tough people. But he was dealing with a different kind of hypertension back in the 50s and 60s. All right. Now most hypertensives are because of obesity. All right. But it's not because of obesity, it's because of malnutrition. And I had a physician when I was going to medical school, a very knowledgeable guy. He was a pathologist. And he said diabetes is not a disease. Diabetes is a sign of poor nutrition. If you eat nutritionally, you will not be a diabetic. If you are a diabetic, it's because genetically your genes are designed for you to develop diabetes. And you will not produce insulin, and you will need something that to take the place of that insulin. So, you know, the opportunity's there. It's a challenge. And if you do it, you can lose the weight. You can get yourself well, and you can stay that way. It's about as costly as, not Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers are a little cheaper. Weight Watchers will get you lose weight, but it takes a very long time because you are, in essence, watching your calories and limiting the kind of calories you're exposed to over a long period of time. If you follow that program, you can lose weight.
You can, but you're eating a lot of phony things that are not good for your body, like the artificial sugars, low fat,
Nutrisystems is a gag. I've only seen a few people that have done well on it. And nutritionally afterwards, they haven't changed their habits, they just don't eat as much.
Food's terrible.
Jenny Craig is worse. And then, you know, the pills out there that they advertise on TV, I forget what the hell they are.
Hydroxycut.
Ally, Sensa, those are all gimmicks.
Green tea caps,
Okay.
the lipos, what is it, lipocene or?
Yeah, you know,
lipocene.
they're all
Lipos.
gags, okay?
That's
'Cause
only
then
for
if you
people who
offer
are
them,
seriously overweight.
Right.
Sensa, Ally, they're all they are is blockers of either a mechanism that your body normally uses to maintain and burn up certain calories, or it will physically block the absorption of the fat. You end up, you know, having accidents and stuff like that that aren't discreet. And so, you know, those are gags. This is not a gag. This is a physiologic, metabolic process that you get involved with. It corrects the fat problem. You make, once you do that, you make the transition into eating what you can eat and know why you can not eat certain things, and then develop that at the pace you want to. I'll tell you, the first guy that came in and I talked to lost 30 pounds, where he went to, they did not manage that third phase of the program. He's gained 25 pounds back. And I said, why'd you gain it back? He said, well, I'll just take another round. I'll go back and lose it. And he knew he could lose it. You know, when he went back, and Dr. Simeon will tell you in his journal, and I will give you that handout, it's his protocol for the diet. He had patients come back, they would lose the weight 2 years later for another round because they knew they could lose the weight.
Well, why start all over again?
But they chose that, they chose to do that. And he didn't begrudge him, he did hell.
Meaning they gained it back and then came back?
They came back, sure.
Yeah. But
They gained it back and they knew what they had to do, but they knew he was the only one
Yeah.
that could take it off. He would treat models, okay? And this is another thing I want to get across to you. He would treat models who wanted to lose weight. Now he'd go in and weigh them, and he would evaluate them, and he'd say, you have no weight to lose, you can't take this diet. Because this diet won't make you lose any other fat than the reserved fat. If you do, it's going to put pressure on your metabolic system and you can get yourself in trouble. But yet he would do models that would lose 9 or 10 pounds of the reserved fat. And they would follow his program and he would take the 9 or 10 pounds off of them, but he still continued his program. Because they had fat to lose. They had reserved fat. And the whole concept of this is to get rid of that reserved fat. Once it's gone, maintain your weight so that metabolically you're sound and nutritionally you're sound.
Doctor,
Yes.
just to clarify, the 3 kinds of fat, the one that pads your organs,
Right?
the 2 just semantically things are
Same.
written, they call the second normal kind reserve fat, and the third that
Yeah.
you're talking about, they call abnormal. I just
Yeah.
want to clarify, if anyone looks online, don't get
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah. And there's a lot of transition. Some of the diet protocols that you'll read or be exposed to, they only go 3 phases. They skip the gorging phase. But I adhere to Dr. Simeon's original work. I stand behind it. The guy knew what he was doing. 20,000 plus patients did it and they lost weight. They followed it, they stayed with the weight loss.
On the second round, do you do the gorging again?
Yes,
Seriously?
absolutely.
I'm all for that.
Right?
That's all
All
right.
right, okay.
The whole,
Susie, how much weight
I
did
didn't
you
know
lose?
that.
I lost 27 pounds during my 40 days. Then since then I've lost down to 31
And inches since then?
pounds.
I'm just wondering.
Oh, that's another thing.
I didn't add them up.
His book,
Like
his
lost even more than the
manuscript, they call it,
Yeah, probably.
It's called
because
pounds
I
and
keep
inches.
saying we're still redistributing.
So you will lose pounds, and you will also lose
I'm
inches.
not sure.
So somebody will come in and say, oh, it's 4 days, I've lost a pound. But they've lost inches.
Yeah.
I tell them, be patient, follow the protocol. You will lose the weight. You will lose the inches. From when you started to when you do that last day and you weigh yourself, you will have lost pounds and inches. Like I said, I lost 25 pounds. I haven't gained a pound since, but I've lost inches in the process.
Look good too, Doc.
These-
That's all you got. Yeah.
And then another thing that I mentioned just in passing is that most people that go on starvation diets, when they lose, they have a lot of excess skin.
Yeah.
You will have some of that with this diet, okay? But you won't have as much. And the simple reason is that this does not starve you, so you're not losing the muscle mass underneath, okay? And secondarily, all right, the actual inches are lost over a longer period of time. What happens is as you lose the fat, the cell does not break down and disappear. The fat is gone from the cell. The cell acts as a little bit of a repository, and that is filled with fluid, water, which you're required to drink a large amount of. As your body ages and gets older, that cell eventually deteriorates and is removed from the body. During that time, you will lose that water weight, and you'll lose that volume, so that you're going to lose inches well long after you actually continue to lose weight.
Let me add something. When he just said about, having loose skin, it does firm up over time. I called him, I think, was it 3 or 4 weeks into the diet? I was freaking out. My stomach was real loose. I was like, oh my God, I'd rather be fat.
Right.
I'm getting off the diet. And he said, no, it's going to tighten up. Just give it time. It did. It took a few weeks, but it did come back. I mean, it's not perfect, and I don't expect it to be, but it's not abnormal, I wouldn't say either.
I said the same thing to you. I said, it feels like jelly. I said, at first it was hard.
Yeah,
And then
because
it turned
was so
into
packed
jelly.
and dense,
Yeah,
and then it
exactly.
was, yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, right.
How much weight did you lose?
I guess I was 360 68 pounds. I was 309 pounds this morning.
Wow.
So
Really? How many rounds have you done?
one.
That was in his first round.
That's because he's a.
I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't believe
You're
it
right.
would work. To be honest with you,
But we'll see it.
I thought it was.
There.
I thought it was water, a little tiny shot. I thought this can't do nothing.
How
And I'd
much
stick it in my
rounds
stomach and
40 days.
I was shocked. Every morning, my wife and I would run to the scale. First thing in the morning, we would pee and we'd like.
She on it too?
I would like get out of the way. We'd fight to get to the scale. One morning, I actually slipped trying to beat her to the scale. I almost hurt myself, but anyway, I got on a digital scale, and I mean, so it's very accurate. And I'd say it worked. There's another 2 pounds. Then my wife would go, "I hate you." Then she'd get on, and she was another pound, and she'd go, "No, I don't hate you." You know, so. We really helped each other, but I mean, I wasn't a well person. I mean, I was on all kind of blood pressure medicine, and I mean, I had heart surgery, I had a triple bypass. I'll be honest. I mean, I knew it too. I was heading for death. I found out that I was having a grandchild, and first thing I wanted to see was my first daughter graduate, so I can die now. And then all of a sudden my wife got pregnant again. Of course, I knew how it happened, but it wasn't all of a sudden. It was just, it didn't just happen. But anyway, that happened. And then I thought, well, now I want to see, at least, I want to see that child, go to school. And I had these little, artificial barriers that I put up for myself. Now, you know what? I honestly believe I'm going to see this grandchild graduate. And maybe some more. So, I like I said, I feel so much better. I've lost weight before. But I felt lousy. The Atkins diet, well, I lost a lot of weight on the Atkins, but I felt lousy. And I wanted to die. But this, I have so much energy, I feel so much better. It's unbelievable. And again, I'm excited to do the next round. I'll be back to where I've always wanted to be, and I'll stay there for life.
This, incidentally, I encourage people coming in as couples. Okay, because it's not difficult if you're determined, but it's a hell of a lot easier if you've got somebody watching you and looking over your shoulder and making sure that you comply with the thing. The last thing you want to do is cheat on the diet. I'm telling you, and I can tell. And when you read the manuscript. Dr. Simeon says he never treated anybody that cheated on the diet. He would get rid of them. Because it's not fair to the patient and it's not fair to him. And you can get yourself in trouble by cheating on the diet because you change this metabolic process. This isn't like taking the fat pill, this isn't like taking Sensa, and it isn't like, sitting on and doing the Atkins. This is a metabolic change that you're superimposing on your body to get to a point. And that is to burn up that excess fat that you have to get rid of to maintain your health. Once that fat's gone, your whole chemistry in your body changes. You only need enough nutrition to maintain a healthy body. And you'll find out that you don't crave the bread and you don't
Sugar.
No sugar. You don't crave sugar. Matter of fact, most people, don't even consider sugar as part of their diet after a while.
I like the stevia.
Yeah, I have a couple things I want to add, like what you just said about the stevia. There's a product called stevia. It is actually a natural herb. Okay, you've heard of it. It's good. It's in a lot of grocery stores. It's in the health food stores.
What's it called?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's a
stevia.
plant. It is a plant.
It's an herb. It's an herb, but it's like something like 250 times sweeter than sugar, I believe.
It's very sweet.
Yeah, very sweet. They have these drops that are flavored: cola, root beer, berry flavors, citruses, vanilla cream, butter toffee, chocolate, raspberries, things like that.
She doesn't know where she's aware of.
I was a pop addict. I wanted Sprite and sodas all the time. Yeah,
That's just gonna.
So,
You have a soda stream?
Yeah, I do.
So do I.
So that's what I
do.
did. I would make club soda and I would put my little things in and I would have a cola or a root beer. And it's not exactly like it, but it helped took that craving
it's
off
great.
for the first week. After the first week, I never touched them again.
And no chemicals like the diet
No.
soda.
No.
No
ice
ice
cream.
cream.
It's a very specific food list that you're gonna have. You can only have what's on the list.
But you don't want it?
No, I don't want anything. Now I'm almost ready to, as of today, I could start my second round. And so I've come through all those different phases, added all my foods back. I don't crave anything that I used to. I don't care if I have potatoes with dinner. I don't care to have anything
Me neither.
sweet.
I haven't had French fries ever. Like,
You're on what would be the maintenance if you didn't
I am.
go
Or
back,
baked potato.
Yes.
and you still feel
Fine.
not addicted to carbs
Nope.
and
As
processed.
a matter of fact,
and-
today I went for lunch with my girlfriend and we went to an Italian restaurant and I had an Italian sub and I had fries and I regretted having that afterwards. I felt so tired and stuffed
Yeah.
and uncomfortable coming back to
I
work.
take it back. You will be addicted. The addictions I have now are apples.
If I have the choice
I'm
of
addicted
having
to
a nice
apples
like
now.
green salad and some veggies or some meats, things like that, I will take it any day over the pizzas or anything like that. That's not saying you can't have it once in a while. If you have a habit, like you have girlfriends or guy friends, you go meet for wings and pizza and beer or something, you can do that. It's
Wings are
fine. You're gonna do that. Like once you're on the maintenance part I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When I was on it, we'd go out and we'd go to a restaurant or something, and you're only allowed 3.5 ounces of meat.
You mean
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
While you're
Yes.
shopping.
Right.
And I'd just go out to dinner, I'd have lemon water, and I'd have, if it was a fairly decent restaurant, I'd
Flaming.
tell the waitress, have them make me a salad, but I only want one vegetable in it, and vinegar and oil. So I'd bring it out, I'd drink the vinegar, I'd have the vinegar, salt, pepper, that was it, and I'd get a fillet or something. Now, if you go to a fairly decent restaurant, you can tell them, and the chef, you tell the chef that I'm on a specific diet and not to put any seasonings other on my meat and cook it on an open grill, please? Sure,
I'll do it.
he'll do it.
Say gluten-free, that's a buzzword too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
You'd be surprised
they'll
they
do it
put-
for you.
they
But
put
I
that
went 2 or 3 weeks later
Oh yeah. They
to
do.
another joint, and I looked through the menu, and they had a fillet, no, they had a strip. That's all they had, they had bar food. So I ordered the strip and the salad, and they brought me the vinegar, which was okay. And I had the salad, and I ate, it was a fatty strip, cut all the fat off, and ate it, but I gained 3 pounds. And the only thing I could assume was that they put something on that meat
They do.
that
It's grill
it
based.
caused me,
They all use it.
the flavor or something. It might have too much fat in it, or sugar or something, caused me to, but it was a mistake, okay? It wasn't a cheat, because I
Yeah.
stayed on the diet.
Good.
There are people that come here and cheat, and I, like I'll go through their diet, I'll go through everybody's diet. I said, what the hell are you doing here? You had a shot of vodka. Well, yeah, I was out with the guys, and we said, no.
You can't have that.
You do that again, don't come back. Because that's not what's on the protocol. Now, if you had to go to a situation, you went to a dinner, and you're obligated to eat what the guests give you, then you have to make the right choices, okay? First thing you do is you don't want to insult the people that invited you, so you modify your diet as close to what the requirements are, without offending them. The trade-off is you're going to gain weight. You'll lose it again if you go back on the diet, but you're going to gain weight. Now, if you do that frequently and cheat, say to hell with it, then we don't want you on the diet.
The overall thing is, are you miserable being heavy, fat?
Who isn't?
It's a very short period of time in your life that you're going to do this. You're going to stick to it because you want to work it to work the very best that it possibly can. You want to get off as much as you can. And you're going to go back to eating in the way that you'd like, and you're going to learn that you're going to like a lot of things that you didn't realize before. It's going to last forever. We're talking about 7 weeks of active weight loss and 6 weeks of relearning the foods, your body, your resetting your metabolism. This is not a long time.
And there's rewards along the way.
You're not going to want
quick.
to cheat.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to. I guarantee you in the morning you're going to wake up and you're going to be so excited
It is
to run to that
exciting.
scale and see how much weight you lost a day. It's a huge motivation because you're losing up to 2 pounds a day. And it's different for each type of person. Men and women, men are going to lose a little bit more than women do. Postmenopausal women will lose a little bit less than a childbearing age woman will. It's a hormonal thing. You're still losing a tremendous amount of weight.
Yep.
And nobody believes me, and nobody believes Doc until you go on this. You will not be hungry. You will have a hard time finishing your portions, period. And then everybody comes in after their first week for their weekly check-in, and I say, so, how'd you do? Well, you were right, I'm not hungry, and I had more energy, and the one guy said that he gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning, goes out, starts gardening, and he doesn't stop until around midnight, and he's still kind of just like watching TV, and I had the same effect. Extreme energy.
Yeah.
It was, and I feel really good. I'm not sick. My heartburn resolved. My asthma decreased tremendously. I had a problem with my ankle. That pain went completely away.
I eat so differently. I eat strawberries, I eat apples. I mean, we didn't buy that stuff very often. I mean, we do shop the outsides of the supermarket now.
Right.
I mean, we just stay out of the middle unless you need soap or detergent or something or toilet paper. But I mean, the outsides of the market's where all the good stuff is. But I mean, I didn't know there were so many different types of apples. I've tried them all now. I found that I like the green ones the best. Even though God didn't make those little green apples, I still like those ones. So that's
what I noticed. What I noticed with you and Doc is that some diets, once you start losing weight, you look gaunt and you know you just look really good. Your face, the way you look healthy.
Yeah.
You know, you look
that's
healthy.
one of the reasons that that
Targeting the
it's a
weight.
physiological.
Exactly.
It really is. I mean,
That's exactly what
it's
it is.
the concept is not something that's faddish. There's a good, sound medical reason why what happens to you happens to you. Afterwards, there's some science involved in nutrition and stuff now that because we live in the society we do live, the manipulation of food is so bad now that most of what we eat is not even food anymore. It's phony food, I call it.
All of it.
And I'll get into that with you during the phases of thinking what to eat. You'll do a lot of reading labels now that you didn't bother reading before, because the labels will, I'll give you a little book too when you get to the transition stage where it's called Food Rules, and it's by a pretty knowledgeable guy. And it tells you the little quirks about how to eat food and what to eat and why you shouldn't eat certain things. And if you want some other literature about nutrition, we can give you some insight on that.
I have a side effect that I found out by eating the food you're talking about. My daughter, I mean, the people that live with you inherently are going to be touched by this thing. Well, we take our foods to my office, and my mother would eat with us, and then my dad. But my daughter, I mean, she's 11. She's 10. We started this shit on birthday, but she now her favorite food is filet mignon. Of course, it sounds expensive, but if you're eating 5 ounces of it, I mean, that's all she's like. Can I have? So now she wants to have broccoli and filet mignon. And that's really all she doesn't, she eats 2 things. That's her favorite. Well, guess what? She now has all kinds of, she used to be like tired when she played softball and things. She now goes from the beginning to the end. I've watched her. She's grown healthier. She used to get sick all the time. She hasn't been sick one time. She's just eating, she's eating better. Like before it was potato chips, and I mean, I'm not saying that I don't like potato chips. I haven't had them in a long time, but but I love filet. I love hamburger that's lean.
I'll tell you one thing too.
Vegetables.
I've noticed myself that if something's laying around, I'm a junkie, a sweet junkie. Believe me. I mean, if it's there, if you got a bag of Chips Ahoy, you break that open, God, they're gone. Down a quart of milk, they're finished. But now, my wife has all these snacks, she has gluten-free thing. So she has all these special little snacks. I didn't even bother. My snack is I'm going
It's
to
not
eat some.
tempting for you.
Whereas she used to go home on the weekend and he'd been staying home working on his notes or buggering in the house. Everything that could possibly be sweet would be gone. Their chocolate silk milk, any fruit possible, anything that was sweet. He's terrible
And the
at
sweeter the
sweet.
better, boy, I tell you. But now, you know, I go out, we'll go to Eden Park and I'll have them sticky buns. I'll eat a little bit of it and have a cup of coffee and that'll eat half of it. Because it just doesn't sit well with me.
You mean I gotta stop my 1 pound ribeye?
Nope,
No.
nope, absolutely not.
Actually, that's probably the one thing you're.
I'll tell you
For a
what.
short time.
I'll tell you what, okay, and I didn't go into that. I didn't go into this, okay? But if you get on this diet and you screw up and you gain over 2 pounds, you know what your punishment is? Eat the biggest steak you can.
Yeah.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Fat?
That's it.
It's the fat to get.
Nope, he doesn't know why, and you know what it does, and how it works.
Yeah.
But you get up the next morning, immediately you weigh yourself, and you gain over 2 pounds, and you haven't been able to lose it.
Steak.
First thing you do is you have an apple, large steak, the lean, biggest steak you can get, eat it, and you will lose that 2 pounds that you gained the
Not fried in
next day.
butter.
Is that somewhere, are all these things written down, you know, and all that?
Yes, yeah. What we've done
And they're
here,
confronted to, you know, they're out there. Part of your protocols there.
what we've done here is, it's very important that you understand this is a very low calorie diet, as he was saying before. The makeup of calories for your body is coming from the fat burning. Don't get scared or obsessed with the fact that you think you're going to have to count all these calories. We've actually got it down to a science where there's a structure that you're going to follow. You know your foods list. As long as you do that, you don't have to count anything. The only thing you do have to do is you have to have a digital food scale and you have to weigh your protein out to 3.5 ounces. What I did,
That's the first thing.
yeah, this is the first and second phase. I would go to Sam's Club, I'd buy, just say a large thing of chicken, meat, whatever. I'd go home, I'd portion it all out, put it in Ziploc bags, throw it in the freezer. You don't want to have to do this every night. It's just some prepping, you know, it was easy. I'd grab a bag of whatever I was going to have, and that was that.
Doesn't take long to cook 3.5 ounces.
It's
Not
very
at all.
fast.
If
I
you
can
want
say
it
I
rare,
feel like a
you
short
better
order
long
cook, you
enough.
know?
Right?
And boy, you don't have a lot of selection when it comes to veggies either.
Can you?
We're going to sell them here.
They have
Yes, we have them.
Oh, you want to
Yeah,
carry
we do.
one thing, you know, like broccoli or one. Like
I
lettuce.
also wrote a lot of recipes. I've always spoke to my
Oh, yeah,
mom.
you can
as-
use-
I was always
Yeah, you can
cooking
use
so
herbs, all
I
the herbs
created
you
a
want.
lot of recipes for everybody's.
No, I didn't.
because
A
Now,
lot of
Like
different
you said, you
kinds,
cook.
types,
Yeah,
fast
okay.
ones, slow
When
ones,
you
all kinds of
use
different things for
an
everybody to
onion as
have.
an herb.
And it's all okay on the diet.
Okay.
You're saying shake, you're not talking cooked garlic with.
No.
I mean,
As a
you
matter of
could-
fact, on the first
you'll
day
chop
while you're losing the weight, you're
a clove
only
of
like
garlic.
about a
Right.
It's very
tablespoon of
fine,
dairy
you
a
put
day.
it on your food,
Oh,
or
yeah.
your garlic.
It's not, like I
Oh,
know, it sounds
can't use garlic
restrictive,
salt,
but Tony, you're
you
not
can't
gonna miss
use
this, you're not gonna do
anything that has
that.
sugar, and this is all
Yeah, and like I
garlic,
said, it's a
anything that has.
very
And
short
onions
amount of time
drinking
and
sugar
a
when you
huge
cook.
reward.
Onions are
Like,
very
I
sweet.
dropped 31
Yeah.
pounds.
I
Yes,
love
she did.
I
But,
mean,
you know,
I don't care what I have to do, you know?
I just mean in cooking.
Oh, yeah,
But
you
it really
can,
is,
you don't cook with an onion,
Everyone
but you
was
can
satisfied.
flavor with it.
Nothing,
What, you
it was
can cook
okay.
with garlic?
You can cook with
Because
garlic.
that doesn't
There's a
count
list
as an
of-
extra food.
There's a, no,
I'm
there's a
sorry,
list
I'll
of,
read the book.
there's a list of herbs you can take that are safe, and there's a big list of sugars. There's some sugars that are not in the first phase,
I'm
but
ready for my
sugars
shot.
are in the second phase. After, actually it's phase 3B, where you start adding these things, and there's different classifications. Different foods have different amounts of sugar in them, okay? And there's a list of those. And like I said, if you make a mistake, it's a mistake. And you'll know a day or two after, well, I made a mistake. I ate some damn thing that my body does not handle well, and I'm gaining this weight. And that's why you keep the diary, the food
Yeah.
diary, and that's why you keep it. Well, I'm not gonna eat this again. If I do, I'm gonna eat it a lot less and see what it does.
We're not gonna set you off out there on your own. You're gonna be coming in weekly, you're gonna get measured, you're gonna get weighed, you're gonna have conference with doctor and the nurses, myself. We're gonna talk a lot about your inches lost, different calculations, your foods that you ate, recipes did you try. We're gonna go over all of these things and you're gonna be fine with it. And then we're gonna guide you into each additional phase.
Did you get caffeine headache withdrawals?
You can
can have
totally have
coffee.
as much coffee as you'd like on the
And
stuff.
tea.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait a
Yes.
second. Black coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
but I'm
can't
gonna
have
tell
all
you
that
what, okay, so my husband's
So there goes my
huge.
ulcer.
Well, here's the thing, my husband's huge coffee drinker, can't make him stop, right? And he liked his vanilla creamer in it a lot. Those stevia drops I was talking about that are flavored, there is one called vanilla cream, okay? It's not gonna make your coffee creamy, but it gives the taste of it and sweet, and it tastes, so he says, I haven't tried it, but he says it really tastes like the vanilla creamer. It smells like it, I can tell you that.
Well, I don't like vanilla creamer, I like
Well,
hazelnut.
they have hazelnut in those drops.
Yeah.
They have butter toffee,
It's not gonna taste like
hazelnut.
before, but you can.
Yeah,
I know, I just don't
Yeah.
want the black coffee, I
Right.
have a duodenal ulcer. And
Yeah,
every once in a while,
They sell extracts of hazelnut, they sell extracts of walnut, they sell it. An extract is just
Yeah.
alcohol and that flavor.
I
right.
think
So
they
you
sell
can't,
low
if
acid coffee.
if
They
there's
do.
no sugar in it,
Yeah, you're
you
right.
can't use it.
I ain't drinking that decaf, that's not.
No,
No,
low
you can
acid,
drink it.
high caffeine, but low.
Tea,
Yeah, they have low
any
acid.
tea that's in a bag, that doesn't have sugar in it, you can drink that.
And see, I love my iced tea with 2 packets of sweet and low. I drink iced tea
No
all
sweet
day
and
long.
low.
You'll have
You're gonna
stevia,
have
and
stevia.
it's pretty darn close. It tastes just
Stevia is
exactly the
great.
same to me.
I would do that, 'cause I, you know, my
I have a
yogurt,
plant,
I can't
a
eat my
stevia
yogurt.
plant.
Not for 7 weeks, but after that, you can. The
What?
that first 3A, that phase, it's 3 weeks long, and you start adding back all of your fats, so you can have coconut
Now I
oil,
want coffee.
olive oil, cheese,
Now I want
yogurt,
coffee really bad.
nuts. You're increasing your meat portion. You're now having any fruit, any vegetable. It's a lot different. You're bringing all those things back in.
I think you
And
don't
then-
bring in carbs and sugar.
Right, that's 3B, where you bring in your sugars and your starches and everything back in.
I don't like meat all the time.
Fish,
Well-
chicken, seafood,
What do you normally
And
eat?
lobster.
You do it.
lobster.
Yeah.
You're allowed lobster, you're allowed
Dipped in butter.
crab, you're allowed.
Yeah, we're not saying you have to eat beef
You
all
don't
the
need
time,
butter
right?
if you got good lobster.
Any
trust
kind
me.
of protein. You
Ruins
can have
it.
eggs.
I don't like eggs.
Okay, you
Don't
can have
say you don't.
chicken, you can have most fishes.
You don't like milk.
I don't have nothing to do with that.
You
don't
can
do
do cottage cheese.
don't
We
want
actually have a vegetarian protocol too, so there may be some products on there that you like too, but it's important that you get the protein.
We should have that up on the website pretty soon.
Yeah.
And within
yeah.
the next couple days, I'm hoping
Yeah.
we'll have an actual food do's and don'ts.
Yeah, I
Right?
have them in the journal, so I'll get them for you.
So within days,
We're
I'd say
doing
that
our
we'll have
first-
that.
We're guinea pigging our first vegetarian right now, and she's doing fantastic and following along just as though everybody else is. Yeah.
I have a small question.
Sure.
I'm slightly familiar with it, and
Okay.
what you didn't mention was anything about the body lotions or anything like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, you're right.
Good ain't good.
Okay.
Here, all right,
Go ahead.
here's where I talked about when you're in that first phase, okay, where you get the shots, all right, and your body's using your oil and your fat reserves,
Yeah.
your stored fat, okay. If you get oil on your body, you will absorb that oil.
Everything
Okay.
you put on your skin within 20
Okay, so
seconds.
you
you
sit there
absorb.
cooking and for the family, and you skin a chicken, and you throw the skin away, and then you don't bother washing your hands. That oil from that fat from that chicken, your body absorbs immediately. If you use a cosmetic, a lotion that has oil in it, surface area on your body will absorb that oil immediately. It's not, remember I told you, it's not bad in the sense that your body's gonna, you know, you're gonna cause a problem. It's gonna utilize that oil
Instead of your fat.
instead of your fat.
Before your fat.
Okay, so we've
See?
come up with a solution for this, okay? Aloe vera gel is really good for you as a moisturizer. I can't go without a moisturizer, my skin's really dry.
That's what I use.
Okay, so The stuff in the stores, though, it has alcohol in it. It's like the first ingredient listed in that. So anyway, we got a source for pure aloe vera gel we're going to bring in here.
Oh, it doesn't
So
dry.
Yeah,
Like the other
exactly,
stuff. Okay.
exactly. So it'll be moisturizing for you and everything.
You mean I can't use my juicy?
I know.
For a
I
short
hear
period.
ya.
For a short
Just for
period.
a short period.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not forever.
Once you get past the phase, you know,
The aloe doesn't
the
work.
shot phase,
Yes.
where
I know,
you
I
can,
know.
What's
And
the
you know,
question?
you can eat oil,
Yeah.
in fact, there's no restrictions on the amount of oil that you take, other than the fact that when you go from that shots, okay, and you go into that transition, the maintenance, not the maintenance, but the transition phase, phase 3, A and B, you will be given the amount of calories that you will need during the day to maintain that new weight of yours. And of that, a certain percentage is fat. And you're encouraged to take that amount of fat. Another portion is protein. They recommend that you eat a lot of protein and no carbs during that transition time.
3A.
What?
During 3A,
3A.
Well, you're getting
Without
some
beef.
carbs because you're allowed to have fruit.
Oh,
but
yeah,
you're not having like
but I mean,
starches
not
and
carbs
sugars.
per se. You can't sit down and have
Yeah.
a slice of toast or something like that, you know, during that time.
3B, yeah.
Go past it.
3 what? 3B you can,
Yeah,
and not 3A.
right.
All right,
But
3A
you're at
is,
sugar.
and there's a couple reasons why
Right.
Dr. Simeon never mentioned this, but over experience, and it's not like the people that developed a new rationale wanted to change it. It's the fact that if you go in and you take you decided, well, I can eat anything right now, and you go out and eat a lot of carbohydrates, especially white flour, which is virtually a very large slab of sugar, your insulin, your pancreas is not used to that, okay? It produces insulin, and that's what manages your carbohydrates. You cannot, you won't get sick, but you will not feel well, because you're causing very high levels of insulin being produced, and you're using all these calories up that your body isn't used to using, so you don't feel well. So what they say is, the fact that you're taking in all this fruit, that's a good source of natural starch because it's 50% fructose and 50% glucose, and it cushions and buffers the effect of the sugar. So you're not going to get these high and low raising and falling of your blood sugar. As you incorporate that for 3 weeks and get used to it, then you can go into the starches and the sugars, and your body's better able to manage those. So it's more of a protective thing for you, so you don't feel badly during that time. You know, he didn't care. He said, when Simeon did it, he said, minimum was 1,500 calories. You went from the shots to 1,500 calories. That's how confident he was, you know, but he didn't really care. You know, and then over time, and nutritionists and guys that did preventive medicine and alternative medicine realized that you couldn't do that. There are some other things that in my experience, I could find if you have problems, you know, with the diet. You may have a metabolic problem that needs to be addressed to ease up, you know, the effect of the diet on you. People who are accustomed to eating tremendous amount of carbohydrates and change the flora of their body, okay, you may want to treat that so that you're better able to handle the change in diet. There's a couple other things. People that have been stressed for an extremely long time, their cortisol levels are out of whack, and so you have to take supplements to raise the cortisol levels in their body so that they can cope with the stress before the diet really takes effect well. So those are things you could do. You know, I'm not crazy about purges, you know, cleanses and stuff like that. But some people think that they need them, and if you want to take a liver cleanse or bowel cleanse, I've got protocols that I've used over 25 years that I consider safe and not too harsh. You know, people go for you go to some places around there, Union Colonics, where they will, you know, they give you flushes. I don't believe in that, you know. But I've been exposed to all these bad things and crazy things over the years. Some I thought were pretty good at first, but you know, they were harsh as hell. You know, first of all, you as a physician, you first don't want to do any harm. So I don't think it's proper care for me to subject somebody to a diet that's going to make them sick.
What about those of us who have underactive thyroids or have no thyroid?
I don't want to get into thyroid with you.
Do you mean with the diet?
Yeah.
Oh, no effect at all. I have a goiter and underactive, and it's fine. This is okay for almost every condition. There's like one silly thing that's kind of rare. I did tell you about it before. Any medication doesn't interact with them at all. You can go ahead and take everything you need to take. And Tracy, I wanted to tell you, you were saying about cosmetics.
Let me touch on the thyroid.
Okay.
The medical profession, when it comes to thyroid disease, are very, okay, in the sense that they treat thyroid disease by doing blood levels, chemistries on it. The active form of thyroid is called triiodothyroid. That hormone is what affects your body temperature and metabolism. When they treat you with Synthroid, which is triiodothyroid, they give you a standard dose, and it's usually very short acting. Thyroid, that particular hormone, is in your body 12 hours a day. It regulates your temperature, your nutrition, your basal metabolic rate for 12 hours a day. If you take a little bit, you will have a normal blood level of triiodothyroid, T3, when they draw your blood. But it won't metabolically have any effect on you because it's not there 12 hours a day. You will also have one problem about your own T3 is that there are two forms. One is caused by stress and one is caused normally. One's cis and one's trans. And all it is a manipulation of that molecule by positioning one of the sources, one of the carbon molecules in it. Trans triiodothyroid is ineffective in the body to control your temperature and metabolic rate. Being there, it supersedes the active form. As a consequence, your thyroid doesn't work. So you don't know that triiodothyroid they're giving you is trans or cis. Okay, there's a doctor out there, that Wilson, who actually has a protocol he developed on how you treat thyroid disease. Now, and there's you're hypothyroid and that's why you're fat. It's not why you're fat. Because if they didn't give you the thyroid, you'd have lost the weight. I got people taking thyroid all the time. Did you lose the weight? No. Well, obviously, that what they give you this medicine for isn't working. This does not have a particular emphasis on effect on your thyroid at all. Okay, it does not. However, losing that fat will change your metabolism so that your thyroid function will improve. And I can guarantee it.
Look, my thyroid's gone.
Then you need triiodothyroid, but you do not, or actually you don't even need to try it. You need whole thyroid.
Well, whatever you're giving me from Hazelton products, yeah.
And that's active form of triiodothyroid.
Versus Synthroid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting. It's like
but it's long acting. You take it in the last 12 hours a day.
Yeah, I want to take it twice a day.
Yeah. And so, okay.
I
don't want to keep you guys too long.
About
and
the
I
cosmetics.
read my mouth run
I'm
off.
not going to.
You want to say anything to the web world?
That's fine.
Want to say anything to the web world? You have about 30 seconds.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
So what's
Now,
next?
if
Stop
you
that.
want some more information, you're welcome to come in and I'll sit down with you and rehash this whole thing, tell you what to do. If you want to talk cost, Okay, this is I'm here to take care of you. I gotta meet costs like everybody else does. I'm willing to work with you, okay, financially, so that you get in the program. Once you're in the program, if I tell you I'm not gonna treat you anymore because you'll kill me. Because it works so well. You will, you're not gonna wanna stop this program. You're not gonna wanna do it.
That's for sure.
Do you have pamphlets or brochures? Anything? Not yet?
No, what we do is when you come in for the consultation, we give you a journal. that you
Yeah,
look
give
at.
you
That's, and it has all the information you'll need in it. Dr. Simeon's.
what the hell is this?
Well, all you have to do is, if you are interested tonight, let me know. I'll call you tomorrow, or Monday, one of the two, and I'll get you scheduled in here to have your private consult with
Would you
Doc.
be
We'll
around?
go over things in detail with
How's your
you.
dog?
I'll sit down and talk prices with you,
Good.
work something out. We'll go through the whole journal. That's where you get all your literature and information and everything.
Okay, oh yeah, I'll get
I
you.
really caution people about doing a lot of research on your own. Go ahead, read everything you want to. Just be cautious about what you're reading. If you
Read
have any
Simeon's
questions,
book.
yeah. If you have questions, ask us, because there's some
You-
generic and bad information out there about it. And like he said, there's a lot of doctors that have left the original Dr. Simeon's protocol and have made up their own HCG diets.
Well, I'm not.
Not a good idea.
Go from what
They
you
don't
say.
work.
No, if you want, believe
We
me.
will
if
do
you-
research, it's just
You
you have to
and
read
me
through
and
some. I
I
did research.
We're gonna lose the weight. We're gonna all feel great. You and me and Dr. D. We're gonna up and down. We're gonna lose that pound. Sinners get less win-win-win. We're gonna lose our fast. The doctors want to cash.